Everyone, please rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. First item on the agenda is a motion to recess the commissioners meeting to hold a retirement board meeting. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to call the retirement board meeting to order. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the October 16, 2024 agenda. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the September 18, 2024 minutes. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the refunds of contributions to employees no longer with the county. There are 6 individuals listed. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Number 2, motion to approve the following deferred retirement, and there is 1 person listed. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the following retirements, and there's 1 name listed. It's effective 9/24/24, just so that we have that corrected on the agenda. Motion as opposed to 9/24/24.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn the retirement board.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to reconvene the commissioners meeting. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Okay, first item, any public comments or questions concerning today's agenda? Okay. Seeing none, move on to number 1, motion to approve the October 16, 2024 agenda. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the October 2nd, 2024 meeting minutes. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the October 9th, 2024 conference minutes. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the payment from the general fund in the amount of $699,982.25. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Motion to approve the exonerations presented by Gina Geo's Tax Claim Bureau Director for 53 properties sold out of the county repository between April and July 2024. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Old business. Motion to authorize the chairman to execute change order number EC6 from North End Electric for the Bend Avenue Building 1 interior renovations project in the amount of $675. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to authorize the chairman to execute the proposal for on-call construction administration services, Springbrook Road Bridge Replacement Project from Tectonic Engineering Consultants, Geologists, and Land Surveyors, DPC. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion to advertise bids for the purchase of fresh bread and baked goods for the period of January 1st, 2025 until December 31st, 2025 on behalf of the correctional facility. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Number 2, motion to adopt resolution number 2326, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 24. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Yes, sir. Would you like to read that, please?
Resolution number 24-26, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2024. Whereas 1 in every 3 women and 1 in every 4 men will experience domestic violence during their lifetime. And whereas 40% of child abuse victims also report experiencing domestic violence. And whereas up to 60% of intimate partner violence perpetrators also abuse children in the household. And whereas homicide by an intimated partner is the leading cause of death among pregnant women in the United States. And whereas nearly half of LGBTQ+ individuals will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. And whereas 43.8% of lesbian women and 61.1% of bisexual women have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner at some point in their lifetime. And whereas 26% of gay men and 37.3% of bisexual men have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to the systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and or abuse. And whereas all victims, regardless of their gender, race, and sexual orientation, have the right to receive respectful and equal support throughout this county. And whereas local programs, state coalitions, national organizations, and other agencies nationwide are committed to increasing public awareness of domestic violence and its prevalence, and to eliminating it through prevention and education. Now therefore, in recognition of the important work done by domestic violence programs and victim service providers, the Commissioners of Pike County, Pennsylvania do hereby proclaim the month of October 2024 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We urge all citizens to actively participate in the scheduled activities and programs sponsored by VIP to work towards the elimination of personal and institutional violence against women, men, children, and the LGBTQ+ community.
Thank you. I know we have members here from VIP. Would you like to speak to the topic?
Just, yeah.
I'm gonna stand up here with you.
Wherever you feel comfortable.
So we always come with something really educational to say, but I just really wanted to take time to talk about an awesome event that we had over the weekend that was really, really well done and a huge success. And it was the first time we were doing it. We approached a local tattoo artist, Pia, to see if she would be willing to make some flash art to hang up over the month of October to help us just raise awareness, let people know that VIP exists, maybe have some of our literature out, and then people can choose from the flash list. And she came back the next day and was like, I'm gonna do you one better and have a whole day of flash tattoos available for $50 a piece, and then all of the proceeds will go back to VIP, which is a really big deal because it's not what we asked for, and it was a huge sacrifice on her part. So she spent the entire Saturday she said from 11 to 6, but she didn't end her last tattoo until 10 p.m. So she went from 11 to 10, and she tattooed all day long with 2 of her colleagues, and we raised $1,700 in that one day. And it was just really amazing. And I talked to Pia yesterday, and she was just, one, really eager to do it again next year, which is really awesome for us, but also said that every person who sat in the chair with her had a story connected to the work that she's doing, to the work that we're doing. And it really just kind of showed that there is a huge community of survivors who are just living with us, and we don't know it. We can't look at somebody and determine if they're a survivor or not, or we can't look at somebody and determine what's happening in their home. But when we're all coming together, we make it a safe place for people to tell their story, to come forward, to talk about what's happened to them and how they've survived it. Amazing things happen and wonderful conversations happen. And it makes it less scary for the next person to now reach out for help when they're in the throes of domestic violence. So I really just wanted to point everyone's attention to the event that we did and keep your eyes open for next year, because you can come get a $50 tattoo and feel really good about it. And I also saw, a few of us saw Pia, everybody tipped her, of course, that was the only income she made that day, but a few of us saw her slip her tips into the jar for VIP too, so I don't think she took a single dime home in that 12-hour span where she's bent over tattooing all day long. So thank you to everybody who came, and just thank you for listening.
Yeah, no, tomorrow is Purple Thursday.
Yep.
So if you would like to, we're having our vigil next Thursday, the 24th as well. So we have, and the parking meters, and thank you so much for lighting purple up on the administrative building. So, the theme was everyone knows someone, and all of this community awareness, like Chelsea was saying, it speaks to people who haven't told their story yet.
Thank you for what you're doing in the community. We know it's very important. You're an important organization here, so we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, and we appreciate
Thanks for
that. Yes.
Yeah.
All kinds.
You may have the word purple again, I want it.
Yeah, please do. Please. No one will know.
Okay, so then we go on to number 2, motion to adopt resolution number 2426, number 3. Motion to adopt resolution number 2427, resolution of the Pike County Board of Commissioners to adopt a new county comprehensive plan in accordance with the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code. Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Do you want to read it? You want to read it? You want that? Okay. And they have a presentation also. We spent 18 months doing this, so I think we probably should read it into the record.
Okay. Resolution number 24-27, resolution of the Pike County Board of Commissioners to adopt a new county comprehensive plan in accordance with the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. Whereas the Pike County Office of Planning and Mapping has prepared a new county comprehensive plan in accordance with section 209.1 and 301 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, and said plan titled Imagine Pike 2035. And whereas the Pike County Planning Commission at its regular meeting on June 24th, 2024, recommended approval of the draft comprehensive plan and referred it to the Pike County Board of Commissioners for adoption. And whereas the plan consists of a printed version of a full document and is complemented by an interactive web-based version that highlights the planning process, a future character area map to assist with future development and land use decisions, and an implementation strategy that can be found at www.pikepa.org/planning. And whereas, as part of the preparation of this new comprehensive plan, the Planning and Mapping Department staff and their consultants held numerous public meetings to solicit input on Imagine Pike 2035 and the goals for the county. Worked with a steering committee with representatives from the public, nonprofit, and business communities. Met with many municipalities and interest groups on the plan. Sent the draft plans to all municipalities and school districts within the county, as well as all abutting counties, municipalities, and school districts, and considered the comments received and incorporated appropriate revisions into the plan. And whereas the Pike County Board of Commissioners recognizes that it is essential for the health, safety, and welfare of all county residents of Pike County to have an up-to-date set of coordinated policies to guide the county's physical development, preserve its natural and cultural resources, and make optimum use of its financial resources. And whereas the County Comprehensive Plan will continue to serve as a policy guide for all units of Pike County government. And whereas the County Comprehensive Plan will continue to present a comprehensive set of county plans, goals, and policies for use and guidance of regional, state, and federal agencies. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Pike County Planning Commission and the Pike County Office of Planning and Mapping certifies that it has prepared the comprehensive plan consistent with the requirements of Act 247 Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. Be it further resolved that the Pike County Board of Commissioners adopt as official county policy in accordance with Section 302 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, a new comprehensive plan for Pike County titled Imagine Pike 2035, and direct the Pike County Office of Planning and Mapping to transmit an accurate copy of the plan and a copy of this resolution to appropriate county departments, municipalities, school districts, and agencies to ensure compliance with the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code and to other appropriate municipal, regional, state, and federal agencies.
So we have a representative from Michael Baker, and Michael is also here, Brzezinski from our planning. I guess you have a presentation for us. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you. It is, yes, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Samantha McLean. I'm the project manager with Michael Baker International that had the privilege and honor of working with Pike County and Mike's office and our steering committee members on this comprehensive plan. I'd like to take a moment just to briefly go over the plan purpose process approach, what recommendations and focus areas came out of it, and what the adoption process looked like. I know many of you that I'm looking at right now, you are all involved in this process, so I will probably go through this a little quickly, and then if there are specific questions, I can go back to that. So this plan is guided by an overall vision that focuses on environmental stewardship, fiscal management, social well-being. And it's really inspired by a lot of what we heard about the natural resources in this county that have been serving the ecosystem, supporting the economy, and providing recreational opportunities to the residents for centuries. So we kind of looked at that sustainability and incorporated it into the environmental sustainability of this plan, the fiscal sustainability and management of the county, and then the social and well-being sustainability of its residents. There are 4 overarching goals that the recommendations work to achieve. So in no particular order, but first is focusing growth and development. This focuses on a diversity of housing types as well as commercial, institutional, and industrial growth, and directing those to kind of specially designated areas that can accommodate that development. The second is around advancing community development. This deals with the business attraction and retention that the county has been working on, building a strong local economy, attracting businesses, and then making sure that the jobs are family sustaining wages that can support households in Pike County. The third recommendation is around preserving those natural resources that I mentioned in partnership with all the federal, state, and local entities that work on environmental preservation and recreation. The fourth recommendation is connecting community, and this is about physically connecting people through maintaining roads and increasing investment in the shared ride system, but then also that social connectivity through communication and engagement with residents. So the plan is divided into 5 focus areas. You'll see on the left of the screen. These focus areas are kind of the top community priorities that emerge through the community engagement process. Natural resources and recreation, transportation, housing, community development, and infrastructure and utilities. In that middle column, you see those goals I just mentioned. And as you can see, natural resources and recreation just doesn't meet one goal. It doesn't just meet that goal about preserving natural resources. It's also meeting some goals in community development because of the tourism industry that it supports. So this graphic is really just to show that we understand that planning issues and those goals are interrelated, and that this plan follows an implementable comprehensive plan model, which is supported by the State Department of Community and Economic Development, that recognizes that these things do not happen in silos, so this plan is not developed for each recommendation only to achieve one goal. However, as was mentioned in the resolution, it does abide by and align with all the municipality planning code requirements. So you'll see on the right-hand side, we still meet all the requirements of the MPC. We just do it in a way that we think works better in terms of implementation and figuring out where to focus. So I won't spend too long here, but because it was covered in the resolution, but this plan has been a labor of love for many months, over almost 2 years now. And it was, the plan was developed kind of in parallel with public engagement. So you see on the screen on the right-hand side is all the public engagement, starting with focus groups and interviews, leading on to a community-wide survey, and a series of 3 public engagement meetings. That, coupled by the research and analysis that we did, formed those focus groups and helped us develop those recommendations. We then developed kind of detailed recommendations and an implementation framework, a draft plan, a final draft plan. We had a second engagement meeting to get feedback on that, and now we're here at the end, the adoption process, where there was public engagement through the public meeting with the Planning Commission and today. So real quickly, I'm gonna just talk through some recommendations, starting with natural resources and recreation here. The first recommendation is focused around protecting high quality natural resources. The second recommendation is around promoting connectivity and accessibility of open space. And the third is about improving collaboration and communication between stakeholders. Something that's unique about a county plan is that it's because of the county's role in a lot of these. It's the county serves as a convener and a collaborator for a lot of these issues, where other stakeholders are implementing the work. So that third recommendation there is especially important. I'm happy to go into any of the actions afterwards and go specific questions. I should also note that for each action that you see, so the A, B, C, D under each recommendation, in the implementation chapter, each one is associated, has an implementation framework, timeline, partners, potential funding sources that can be referenced while implementing the plan. The second focus area is on transportation. The 3 recommendations here are about improving the connectivity of the system, which includes a lot of collaboration with the NEPA MPO. Second recommendation is around improving safety and mobility, exploring traffic calming techniques and concepts. And then the third recommendation is around maintaining and enhancing the existing transportation system. The third focus area is around housing. This was a big topic that came up in conversations with the steering committee and then also members of the public. However, Pike County also had recently completed a housing strategy prior to this plan starting. So we referenced that housing strategy and then kind of incorporated those recommendations along with what we heard during the process. We want to make sure that we're not reinventing the wheel, and there was really good work done on that. So the first recommendation here is about expanding the stock of affordable rental homes and apartments. You see a long list of ways that can be done in collaboration with other stakeholders, and in particular the municipalities, because municipalities have land use control. Then recommendations too around promoting municipal and regional planning and zoning that supports a fair and coordinated distribution of housing choices across the county. So this is really where there's collaboration with municipalities to update their comprehensive plans or their zoning and SALDO ordinances. Recommendation 3 is around providing options for older adults to age in place. Recommendation 4 deals with non-traditional housing options for people that might have special housing needs. Whether it's people living with different disabilities or transitioning or needing emergency housing assistance. Recommendation 5 it touches on that home ownership focus, which is making sure that people can stay in their homes if they want to, and then also increasing opportunities for home ownership and access. The community development focus area starts with recommendation 1 around diversifying the economy to support family sustaining wages. We know right now the tourism industry is a big industry in Pike County, and while there is a lot of opportunity there, we do need to be diversifying the economy, especially to allow people to have work all year round and wages that can support their family. Recommendations 2 is around retaining the existing workforce and then also attracting members of the workforce. We knew through our research a lot of people will leave to find work and then not come back, so we want to make sure that we're attracting people back and then also keeping the population that you already have. Recommendation 3 is around supporting local business and a retail network that meets residents' needs. This is kind of a focus for the boroughs, but then also the Lords Valley area where there's opportunity about creating a business improvement district. And then recommendation 4 is about leveraging your ecotourism as an economic development tool. It already is, but there are some really interesting and innovative approaches to how you can make ecotourism work for more people and be a little more sustaining for families and really give back to the rest of the community. The last focus area here is on infrastructure and utilities. First one deals with communications capacity and connectivity around broadband and cell service. Recommendation 2 is around, very importantly, high quality drinking water systems, sewer facilities that can accommodate existing and future populations. And the third one here is about building utility and waste management resilience in the communities within Pike County. So something in the plan that was mentioned, we have a character area map. It's like a future land use map. This is a requirement for all comprehensive plans because it really addresses the requirement in the MPC that says that you need to direct and kind of guide development. And so this character area map guides future land use regulations, just a guide, it's not a legally binding map, and reflects the recommendations in the plan. So basically what you're seeing here is kind of a geographic application of what we had touched upon in those focus areas. So for example, when I was talking about business development, like in Lords Valley, you're probably not going to see that classified on the character areas map as like rural conservation, since that's an area that was identified for more business development. Once again, this is conceptual. It's not a zoning map. It's, you know, you don't see parcel lines on here on purpose. So on this map, there are three different character areas, three categories of character areas. You have your growth areas, your enhancement areas, and your rural resource areas. And real quick, I know that this is a lot to take in on a screen. So when you kind of simplify the map a little bit into just those categories, this is what you get. And I think the biggest takeaway here and what we've heard is that, well, first of all, there is a lot of already protected land in Pike County, and that's not changing, and we don't want it to change. So you have to be really strategic with where that growth happens, because part of the requirement of the municipality or a comprehensive plan is making sure that you're accounting for the housing needs of existing and future residents. So those areas in orange are kind of the growth areas where different types and scales of either redevelopment or development could happen. Those enhancement areas, and I'm just gonna go back real quick, those are kind of your existing hamlets or your residential developments that have sewer infrastructure. So that's what you already have. We're just kind of noting that we want to maintain those areas, but they're not going to grow anymore. So this character area map is important because it's something that Mike's team will use when reviewing plans that come in from other municipalities to see if what's coming into them is consistent with the county character areas map. So here's just the map a little bigger. So we have commercial corridor. You'll see it's just found on the eastern side here. Mix of kind of commercial uses, primarily auto-oriented. The innovation centers and hubs we envision as great areas for economic development, opportunities and job growth, whether that be kind of research and development, logistics, you know, whatever makes sense and that the county is working on attracting. The difference between the center and the hub is just in terms of scale and what that area can accommodate in terms of the surrounding kind of natural resources and infrastructure. Your core communities are kind of your boroughs or your more walkable, or in the future you want them to be more walkable areas where there's a mix of residential and commercial. I went over the hamlets and the residential areas with sewer infrastructure. Your light green on this map is your rural residential areas, so kind of spread out, primary single family, detached dwellings. And then finally, your rural conservation is any of a lot of your protected land. So basically your rural resource areas, you know, you're protecting as they are. Enhancement areas, you want to maintain them, make sure you're upgrading them for the times, and then your growth areas are really the focus. So as was mentioned, this went to the Planning Commission in June. There was then a 45-day public comment period where all the municipalities, contiguous counties, and school districts received the plan and had an opportunity to comment, as well as it was open to the public for comment. The comments were attached or sent to you as addenda to the plan, and we are here today as the final steps. And I just want to thank you for your adoption of the resolution. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I really want to thank the three of you as the commissioners. You were very involved in the process. It's not always seen, so thank you very much for your engagement, for staff time. Krista and Shannon and Mike and your team were great to work with, and we're just happy to see this and looking forward to following the implementation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you to Mike. You know, this is an important document in the county. It gives us a vision for the next 10 years, and that's what this is. We addressed the comments that came in, and many of them were good comments and stuff that made us think a little bit deeper into the plan, and some of them just were, you know, for the vision for the next 10 years for the county. So, any other questions? Yep.
Kevin Holian, spelled H-O-L-I-A-N. Question that I have to yourself and staff is, A lot of this reminds me of the history behind the Sedition Act of 1792. Thomas Jefferson and James Madison had great ideas with respect of freedom of speech. Great ideas. They studied ancient Greece. They studied all the policies of Europe on free speech. The key thing that people forget about the history of the Sedition Act is the Adams administration. The Adams administration politicized the Sedition Act and used it as a weapon, weaponized it. So my question to the two of you, in light of the history of commission meetings, for example, water, no warehouse, courthouse, too big, Venice Street expansion, yes, no, and there's a plethora of other conceptual activities within a county of this size and stature. And yet, totally agree that we are a tourist county and a very poor rural county. How do we ensure community engagement is fully accepted and received from a freedom of speech standpoint, similar to that being defined by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison versus the Adams administration? How do we help our three commissioners, our solicitor, and our county government to fully hear, comprehend the needs of county residents versus the wants of commercial industries and businesses within Pike County? How do we strike that balance? It's going to be a very tough one, and it's going to be a major challenge to our three commissioners.
So I'm happy to speak kind of generally as to what I've seen other communities do in terms of implementing a comprehensive plan and continuing engagement, and then I think if Mike or anyone wants to kind of address the Pike County specifics, but as I mentioned, for each of those actions, there's a table that identifies kind of timeline, funding sources, etc. One important thing that's in there are partners. The commissioners are, and in those partners, it identifies a lead for the action and then partners to be involved with it. In some cases, the commissioners are lead. In some cases, planning and mapping is the lead. But there are a lot of other kind of groups, task forces that meet on a regular basis. And they're probably going to be discussing some of these actions, in their own meetings. So what I've always encouraged counties, municipalities, residents to do is, take a look at that implementation chapter, and if there are particular actions that you are passionate about or interested in, or might have some concerns about even, look at those partners and follow their agendas. You follow the commissioner's agenda, you're here today, and kind of, come to the meetings, hear what they're discussing, and share your thoughts in that manner. I think something that we found to be a success is like some commissions or boards will, when they're taking action on different decisions that they're making, will reference like this is consistent with the plan, or it's if it's not consistent, they kind of have a discussion about it. So I think kind of looking into the plan and seeing what groups might be talking about these actions and making sure that you're involved in that conversation is kind of my approach to that. But I'd be happy from a county perspective.
This is the third Pike County Comprehensive Plan. So we have one that was adopted back around 1990, one in 2006, and now. We also had a very large visioning process about 25 years ago. Municipalities have plans. All of this has been incorporated. It's not just input from now, but it's gathering all of that, the needs that have been identified over the past. And it's a lot of topics, as you saw, some of them even conflicting when we're talking about, job creation and business, but also save the environment and preserve lands. So it is a balancing act. It's called a comprehensive plan for a reason. It's comprehensive. There's a lot of items that we have to look at, but this implementable model will be quite beneficial to the county. And we're always seeking more input and more parts to the plan. The next part of the plan is underway right now, an open space, greenways, and recreation plan update, which will be part of the comprehensive plan, as well as a hazard mitigation plan, which should start next year. So there's a lot to it, a lot of moving pieces.
Mike?
I just want to say thank you very much for the very civil response. I met you at Delaware Valley High School when you remember me, and Jim, I think I talked to you that your son was there. This is the type of discourse that I would favor more of within our county. One thing I wish you included in your presentations was a very, very large presence at Delaware Valley High School. And all the times that you did meet, there was a very strong community dialogue. And I think that was due to your acceptance to receive that type of polite, kind responses, as well as Jimmy, where there's a lot of visual responses. So to present this in this way, I think the three commissioners and the solicitor and the chief clerk need to be aware that you engaged in a very professional, courteous manner in sales side processes. So thank you.
Thank you. And if I could just add to that, thank you for acknowledging that. Part of this plan, we have a series of appendices, and one of them is all the survey results that we got. One of them is all the feedback that we got at those events and the numbers of people that showed up to that event. So it's a great kind of supplemental document to dig into if you're interested to see kind of how we incorporated all of that into the plan. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
I just have, this presentation, it can be found at pikepa.org/planning.
As of this afternoon or this evening,
Okay.
when I can post
Just
it.
state your
yes.
name for the
Okay.
record. Just
Melinda Compton for the Pike County Dispatch.
okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, we go on to number 4, motion to execute the memorandum of understanding between Pocono Mountain Lake Estates and the County of Pike on behalf of the Area Agency on Aging. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the Pike County Scenic Rural Character Preservation Program grant agreement between Palmyra Township and the County of Pike. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the following human service payment vouchers on behalf of the Office of Human Services, fair in the amount of $2,145.70. Human Services Development Fund in the amount of $4,037.10. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Pike County Home Program payment voucher payable to Rick Ann Incorporated in the amount of $1,368 on behalf of the Office of Human Services. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Pike County Home Program payment voucher payable to Lavernia Rogers Clark in the amount of $1,650 on behalf of the Office of Human Services. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Pike County Home Program payment voucher payable to Oksana Babinski in the amount of $2,250 on behalf of the Office of Human Services. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the Affordable Housing Fund payment voucher payable to Pike County Fair Grant in the amount of $700,000 on behalf of the Office of Human Services. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Affordable Housing Fund payment voucher payable to the County of Pike in the amount of $167,000, $4.19 on behalf of the Office of Human Services. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the chairman to execute the 2024 HAVA grant agreement between the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Department of State and the County of Pike on behalf of the Elections Office. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
The 13, motion to execute the Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act subrecipient data sheet on behalf of the Elections Office. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? For 14, motion to approve the fiscal year 2024 third quarter payments from the Pike County Emergency Medical Service Matching Grant Fund to Delaware Township in the amount of $53,750, Milford Borough in the amount of $10,000, Green Township in the amount of $2,877, and Lehman Township in the amount of $89,049.62.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, under miscellaneous, as always, we have the Penn State Extension calendar events, and we're just gonna jump around because I know there's somebody here who needs to be done to the Board of Elections. Because it's a little busy this
It
time
is
of
very
year.
busy.
So we're gonna move on to the first one. We're gonna have Shara Sherman talk to us about the Erlin syndrome diagnostication. Thank you, Shara.
I think we can hear Nadine losing her brain downstairs.
Yes.
First of all, I just want to thank you very much for letting me be here today, specifically today, because this week is Erlin Syndrome Awareness Week. So people around the world are trying to let people know about what Erlin syndrome is. Has anybody heard of it before? No. And so this is an example of what someone would wear with Erlin syndrome. It's a visual processing disorder that affects how your brain processes color. And how it affects you could cause your brain to literally be overactive. So this is someone who has Erlin syndrome, who does not have Erlin filters on, and the instantaneous result is the brain calms. I have literally seen people go when they have found their right color. And it's, I got goosebumps. I love this. It's amazing to me of how just wearing a colored filter makes a difference for how a brain acts. So here would be some of the symptoms that someone would have. Distortions in print, and we'll show that in a minute. Sensitivity to light, headaches. It's actually been shown scientifically that not only when you have a migraine are you sensitive to light, but a migraine is caused because of a sensitivity to light. So visual stress, the migraines, the fatigue, and if you're in pain in your brain, you can have behavioral issues. So this started because of Annie. She is my niece. I have 21, well, my mother-in-law has 21 grandkids. Of them, 9 of them have Erlin syndrome. This is my son Anton, my son Daniel. The first 4 started right here. And as you can see, they all have very different colors. You would also expect him to see purple, her to see pink, but it doesn't. It's filtering out the color that the brain can't process. So they see red like red, white like white. You know, it doesn't affect how they see color. This is what Daniel saw when he was working on his research paper. How can you read that, right? Here's some other, it just called general blurriness, but no one can read that. So what would you expect is that a lot of people who have reading problems, really, it's not that they can't read, it's they can't see what they're reading. And what happens is the worse, the more you read, the worse it gets, because the brain starts to get even more overactive. So 12 to 14% of the population has Erlin syndrome and doesn't know it. That's more than asthma. Asthma is like 6%, but we all know about asthma. Why do we not know about Erlin syndrome? Like I said, this would affect the special reading disabilities. Again, it's not because they can't read, it's they can't see what they read. But the questions aren't asked properly in the system. It's not, is something blurry? Is this hard to look at? Is it getting harder to look at the more you look at it? This is also ADHD Awareness Month. And as you will see here, a lot of the symptoms of ADHD is exactly the same for Erlin. So either people are completely misdiagnosed or they have both. And Erlin filters can instantly make a difference in their life. So the first thing that you can do is just use an overlay. It's a plastic colored piece of paper or a piece of plastic that can go over paper. It's like $5. So you can imagine how easily implementable this is at a school. It's not expensive and it can help. The glasses are a little bit more expensive, but that's going to be what you can have all the time. If your eyes are open, your brain is processing visual information. I have business cards here. Everyone knows someone. Everyone knows at least one person who has Erlin. So I'd love to share more. I'm always willing to give presentations wherever, sit down with anybody who has questions. And one of the things I will say, one of my friends, I will never drive with her. I wouldn't drive with her until she got her filters, because those people you see sitting at a place where they should go and they don't, it's because their visual perception is off, and Irlen filters can happen with that. I kind of breezed over the three, and I didn't mean to. Light sensitivity, reading distortions, and depth perception. So if you're at the mall and someone can't go up an escalator, like I said, if you're driving, someone doesn't know how to parallel park, it could be that they can't see where the curb is properly. So they're 3 feet away instead of 1 foot away because their brain can't process those visual information. So if there's any questions, I'd love to, yes, Krista.
You were saying that the Irlen is brought upon by the head trauma, the concussions,
It
and the
can be.
whiplash? Okay.
So it's hereditary. That's the reason 9 of my family members have it. But it also is a trauma too. So anyone who has a TBI or a concussion, those especially headaches that come from that, Irlen filters can help so much. Semper Fi, which is a military organization, which is amazing at helping traumatic brain injury military members get into Irlen filters. People who, there was actually a study done recently when there was nothing else that could be done for people who had headaches. They're like, okay, let's try this. Instead of it should have been the first choice, but let's try this. Of the people who came to the Irlen Institute with every day at least a headache, most days a migraine, all day long, they got into the right color Irlen filters and headaches went down automatically, but then almost consistently down to 0. So the impact that they can make is tremendous. I will say the first picture that I had with all the different colors of the people who have Irlen syndrome, no one, well, I shouldn't say no one, almost no one has the exact same color. And we already see the technology out there. Blue light filters, migraine glasses, that is the exact same technology, but I sit down with someone and I work to get them the exact color or combination that they need. So if someone finds, oh, this color kind of helps, but I still have headaches, I can perfect that for them and get the exact color that their brain needs to filter out so that they're not having those symptoms.
I have a question. So it seems like you do help with the diagnosis and fitting people for glasses. Like, if someone couldn't get to you, is this something that you would talk to a primary care physician or like a eye doctor? Like, how would you start a conversation with your health providers?
Well, just like dyslexia isn't a medical condition, that's what Irlen syndrome is as well. Most medical communities are not aware, and the optometry community will try to say, oh yeah, I'll just give you a color. But they're not sitting down and testing, is this color right, is this shade right? And so you really do need to go to an Irlen diagnostician. We're not in every state. Actually, if I wasn't here, you would have to travel to Buffalo, Boston, or Baltimore. And I did. I went to Buffalo for both of my sons. And yes.
Yes. It's interesting that you're talking about a visual disorder, yet you and your family, in truth, are invisible to the rest of humanity.
Well, and it's interesting.
It is.
My sons, they were teenagers when they were diagnosed, and you will never ever see them without their glasses. What teenage boy on their own would wear something that wasn't effective? Actually, my oldest son, he gets headaches if he does not wear them.
Wow.
And so, they live with them, and they can do that because they don't see anything else. Just like mine are clear, and I see everything. I can't tell what time it is without these. They can't process color or color visual information properly without them, but they can wear them night, day, anytime. That's the first thing they put on, last thing they take off, because it's not making their world darker. It's not like sunglasses that just makes everything darker to deal with sunlight. It actually filters out that color.
Right. And I can go one part further. I've heard of Irlen's disorder because it's in the mother's side of the family. Now, how many people in this room probably never heard of the word ataxia?
I have,
Right.
but most people don't.
Not aphaxia, ataxia. A-T-A-X-I-A. Cerebral ataxia. That's what I had.
Okay.
A lot of young children have it, they never live past the age of 30. But answering Commissioner Caceres' question, it could be hereditary or TBI induced. My ataxia was TBI induced. Okay, so neurologically, I am collapsing. I'll probably be dead within 6 months to a year. Nobody gives a shit. But the reality is, and that's why I said it, it's invisible. You bringing it up to the commissioners is what's needed, not only for Erlin's disease.
For a lot of things,
But for a lot of things.
absolutely.
The other example is TV. The reason why I talk about freedom of speech, domestic violence is one of the pinnacles of saying my speech as a man is more powerful than your speech as a woman, and I will make you submit to my speech. That's why I brought up freedom of speech, and that's why I brought up the whole concept of invisibility, and I brought up the concept of community engagement without planning. It's all about that. And I fully respect your courage, I really do.
Thank you.
No, one more question.
Okay.
Sure, I do have one more question,
Sure.
thank you. So, in terms of LASIK surgery, is there any technology or any type of innovations that are moving toward any type of surgical?
Well, what ends up happening, let's go back to the brain image, is the brain where, as you wear your filters, your brain calms, but it also heals. This is trauma. Your brain is going through a trauma. So as your brain heals, it can change what color you need. So we would suggest filter checks. My sons have both changed colors twice now within 2 or 3 years. And so it wouldn't be something permanent because the brain changes. It could change based on your age. It could change if you've had kids. It changes if you have a dietary change, medicines, all of those kind of things. So it would be something permanent that you would be able to do. It is something that you would wear filters, or there are early contacts. So there are people that we have no idea. I know they're famous people. For example, Simon Cowell wears not Erlen filters, but you will never see him without color on because he says he gets headaches. Raven Simone, I've had the opportunity to meet at a convention, and she speaks up a lot about Erlen syndrome. If she doesn't have her colored glasses on, she has Erlen contacts in because she cannot live without them.
What's interesting, Commissioner Caceres, is neurologists call that the angel wings of the brain. And due to traumatic injuries, the angel wings change color. Sometimes they die, they become black, or they just go away. And in the cases of what the young lady's talking about, there are capacities, for example, transcranial magnetic stimulation. Some people think it works. I'm proof it doesn't work.
Everybody is different.
Everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Going back to ADHD, someone could have truly ADHD and Erlen filters won't help. Other people only have Erlen syndrome and that will completely help, or it could be a balance of both, that they still need medicines, but the Erlen filters help. Every brain is unique, and that's why every filter is a different color.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you,
leave
Shar.
cards and.
Thank you, Shar. Next item we have is from the DA's office, pre-arraignment treatment to health. I know we don't have district attorney, but we have other better representatives.
We have, yes,
You guys have-
we've got Shannon.
Hi guys, good morning. My name is Molly Bonarigo.
Molly? come on up here.
There,
up front and center. Thank you, Molly.
Hi guys, my name is Molly Bonarigo. I'm the opioid resource coordinator for the DA's office. I also handle ARDs there. So we designed a program. It's called Pre-Arraignment Treatment Health Program. It's short for PAC. So what it's designed to do is identify people, we work with probation first to identify people that have a substance abuse issue or an opioid use disorder, and who have committed a low-level crime. And the idea is to divert them to treatment to get help rather than pursue charges. And hopefully they will continue with treatment. We have actually just identified one. It's been off the ground for about a month now. We put someone in yesterday, so it's starting to look like we're gonna be picking off. We think we'll probably help about 10 to 12 people a year. And if Shannon wants to talk about the treatment side.
So I'm Shannon Wisniewski. I'm the outpatient supervisor for Carbon Monroe Pike Drug and Alcohol. One of the things that we started in having a conversation with the district attorney's office is looking at the criminal patterns of folks that we see with substance abuse disorders. where if they had been diverted to treatment really early on, that we may not be seeing them further on in the criminal process. So the earlier we're able to engage folks in treatment, the better off their outcomes are going to be and the less likely they are going to be to commit crimes in the future. So part of this is an incentive to say, hey, we understand that this may be the jumping point for your sobriety and your recovery. So this is really us coming together as a team with the district attorney's office and the public defender's office to work on identifying folks earlier on, guiding them towards treatment. If they're successful in treatment, then we work with the district attorney's office on making sure that those charges are expunged or diverted, not filed, and then working with the folks to continue on in their treatment process. They don't have to be Pike County residents only. We will work with wherever they're residing to make sure that they're engaging in treatment, since we know just about on average that most of the folks going through our criminal justice system, about 50% of them don't reside in the county. So we're kind of working through and identifying through our central court process, identifying folks, making sure that they're screened for drug and alcohol conditions, and then move through the treatment process.
Well, no, we know this is an important project. And just so everybody understands, this project is something that came out of the lawsuits that were filed against all of the opioid manufacturers, which Pike County had taken on 8 years ago, I believe, or longer, when I first came in, when we started this whole process. And of course, it became national, not that we drove it, but it also then was all part of the national drive to get the funding out of the pharmaceuticals and the manufacturers of opioids to recognize what they've done in destroying many communities, including ours, when it comes to people that are suffering from opioid disorders. So we appreciate what you're doing. We know the DA's office will be vigilant in taking care of this program, because we understand that there's some people who just have really bad addictions. And when you have really bad addictions, you make really bad decisions for different reasons. So, hopefully we can catch them before that's happening. I know there's also, your office is also identifying people, right, that if somebody succumbs in the community to their addiction, finding out how we can better treat people to make sure that they get into the system. So it's not only about waiting for them to commit a crime, it's about also, that's why Shannon's a part of this, it's also about identifying people that have an addiction issue, or unfortunately either overdose and are saved with Narcan, or under the unfortunate case that they overdose and they pass away. Then there's a way to reach out and find out why weren't we aware of this, or why weren't they aware, I should say, not us, why weren't they aware of the services we offer. Sometimes people don't want the services until they've hit rock bottom. But we, as a community, we need to do the best we can to make sure that people know that we're there to help them, because this is there's not one person in this room that has not been affected by somebody in their family or friends that has not been affected by the opioid epidemic. I can guarantee it, if not more than one. So we appreciate what you're doing. Keep us up to date. I know that you'll have reports as you move forward.
Absolutely.
Okay, any questions from anyone? Okay. Thank you both.
We're here if you need us.
Okay, so the next we have, but I won't go on this, so the next meeting of the commissioners is November 7th, as opposed to being on the 6th. And the reason being because this room will be consumed more than likely due to the election the day before. So our meeting will be on Thursday, November 7th at 11 a.m. as opposed to the Wednesday. One other thing, I just want to make an announcement, this has been in the paper, and that is to remind everyone that there is 2 more Spongy Moth Management Information Sessions coming up. One of them is October 24th at the Bushville Fire Company, and another one is October 28th at the Pike County Training Center. I know there's lots of concerns and people asking questions about how we can address the spongy moth problem that's faced our county last year. This will have all the experts from the state and from the county to explain what homeowners need to do to suppress these invasive little critters from eating all our trees. Okay. And then next we go to is press and public comment. Anything? Okay. Motion to adjourn.